Well, this just in. Pick this up with under 5 minutes to play. Timberwolves in command. Nice ball movement, but finds Jaden McDaniels in the corner, drains the three. That puts Minnesota up 19, punctuating a monster second half from the home team, and they didn't look back from there. It was a one-point game at the half. The Timberwolves were down, and then they went into overdrive. Jaden McDaniels finished with a game-high 25 points, had 8 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with that. Mike Conley with 18, Rudy Gobert 18, Anthony Edwards 15. Even though, despite Phoenix's big three still putting up double digits, wasn't quite enough as the T-Wolves run away with this one, going up 2-0 in the series. And we welcome in former NBA coach and player Avery Johnson alongside NBA insider Bill Reiter. And fellas, I feel like I usually, and especially when I'm thinking about game one, I was talking about Anthony Edwards, but it wasn't even Anthony Edwards in this one. It was Jaden McDaniels, who was the one that had the monster game in this one. Guys, I'm just trying to make sense of this because you consider the talent that Phoenix had, and Timberwolves running away with this yet again. Bill, I'll come to you first. How were they able to get this done? You know,
it's an impressive performance so far for the Timberwolves in the postseason. Not a ton of playoff experience. Jaden McDaniels, we know, outstanding defensively. As you said, has a great offensive game. Rudy Gobert has continued to be outstanding. He's going to, I think, probably be Defensive Player of the Year. And the answer is defense. This is the best defensive team in the league, and they have stifled and frustrated and confounded the Suns and their stars. Devin Booker looked really just off kilter and off balance in this game. Kevin Durant did not shoot well. Bradley Beal was not efficient. Those are 3 big-time scorers, and this Timberwolves defense has done a great job neutralizing all 3 of those guys largely in this series.
Yeah, when you look at the Timberwolves defensively, they're really loading up on the Phoenix Suns stars. And the Phoenix Suns, I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to accomplish offensively. I haven't quite figured it out yet. As a former NBA Coach of the Year, sometimes when a team runs good offense and maybe the shot doesn't go in the basket, I'm like, okay, I can see what you're trying to accomplish. I'm clueless to what the Phoenix Suns is trying to accomplish on offense. And then they're turning the ball over, 19 turnovers. Each starter had 2 or more turnovers. That's not a recipe for success. This team struggled to make shots in the paint. When they did get in there, whether it's on transition or turnover, offensive rebound, they're struggling to score over Gobert. And specifically, when you look at the Phoenix Suns, they're not shooting the ball well, specifically from behind the three-point line.
Coach, you said that you haven't quite figured out what they're doing offensively. I'm going to be honest, I feel like Phoenix hasn't figured out what they're doing offensively. But with that being said, what needs to be done at home, game 3? Pressure's on now. What do you need to see out of them if they want to have a chance to get back into this?
Well, the first thing is they made a trade for Bradley Beal. So they thought DeAndre Ayton was the problem. So they lost some of his interior presence, and they went for scoring. Bradley Beal, in his last playoff game in 2021, he shot 21% from the three-point line. He's playing exactly the same way. He's not shooting the ball well. When you make a trade, you give up as many assets and sacrifice as many assets as they did for that trade. That particular player that you traded for has got to play really good basketball. And then Kevin Durant. I see Kevin Durant standing over in the corner. He looked like he's sending me an email from the corner. He's not involved in the offense. You got to get Kevin Durant involved in some of the offensive stuff.
I mean, Coach is absolutely right. Frank Vogel is a defensive-minded coach. You're going up against an incredible defense, and Coach just hit on it. This is a team that has to have its stars play like stars. And I know Grayson Allen is not a superstar, but that's a big injury. He goes down to that ankle injury, tried to cut through the pain, missed a big chunk of game 1, came here in game 2, and hurt it again. Obviously was in massive amounts of pain, was the game's best three-point shooter over the course of the season, so he at least adds a little bit of punch. And Avery's right. You don't see an offensive plan from the Suns. They're going up against, again, the best defense in the NBA, and barring some miracle from Vogel who pulls a rabbit out of his hat and comes up with some sort of offensive scheme, the Stars have have to be stars, and that's Durant can't be sending Coach Avery Johnson an email in the corner. Devin Booker's got to figure it out, and Coach is right. Bradley Beal, who they mortgaged a big chunk of the future for, these are 3 stars. All 3 of those guys have to step up and take over games and win games.
Hey, Bill, are you sold on the T-Wolves being able, just this product that we've been able to see, are you sold on them able to make a big run in the West?
Well, I am, because you know what's really clarifying is humble pie. If you eat a whole bunch of crow, it's amazing how that can help you see the future a little more clearly. I thought the Suns were going to win the series, and look, teams have come down from 2-0. A few years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks went down 2-0 against Kevin Durant and the Nets in the second round of the playoffs. They end up winning the whole thing. So it's not necessarily over yet. But I do think the Timberwolves can make a deep run. I have a $1,000 bet with the folks on the podcast Beyond the Arc that I'm going to have to, Avery, you should come to this dinner. We're just all, dinner on me. It's $1,000, dinner on me. Order a good bottle of wine. I knew the defense would transfer. I thought that they would do what they've done in the playoffs teams, and that's pull Rudy Gobert away from the basket and just switch off onto him with smaller guys and attack the rim. That hasn't happened. I thought the youth on this team was not going to be able to handle the pressure and the expectations. That hasn't happened. Anthony Edwards, despite an off-shooting night, has been extraordinary, and we talked about just the other guys helping out. Yes, this defense is legit, and if you can get points from guys, if you can win games when Ant has a bad shooting night, yeah, you can make a deep run.
Bill, I know you love to repeat yourself 2 and 3 times, and since you and I are friends, I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm going to make a new point. I think the Phoenix Suns are missing a point guard, and that's why Minnesota's up 2 in the series, because of Mike Conley Jr. Remember when the Suns went to the finals? Chris Paul led them to the finals. And right now, it looks like the Suns they don't quite have a leader or a quarterback. And I think that's one of their Achilles heels to start this series off. And that's the reason why they've dug themselves a 2-0 hole.
Avery, really briefly, I just want to get your level of concern. Let's do a 1 through 10. What's your level of concern for this Suns team? Because you just said they don't have a point guard. Looking at what's left, how are you feeling?
8.5.
Okay. All right, Bill.
8.5.
Well, I'm going to repeat. I'm
really concerned.
I'll just be repetitive here. I'll go 8.5 too. That sounds like that's like a good answer.
All right, I'm gonna go 8.5 too. It's concerning to have this type of talent in this team, the product not necessarily showing on the court. Fellas, appreciate the insight. Thanks so much. And here's a look at what lies ahead if Phoenix has any chance to get back into this one. Well, Game 3 set for Friday at 10:30 Eastern. That will be in Phoenix at home, looking to win on their home court and get back into this series. Game 4 set for Sunday at 9:30 Eastern, also in Phoenix. From the talks with the fellas, it looks like Game 5 might not necessarily be needed unless Phoenix can find a way to turn around. If there is Game 5, that'll be back in Minneapolis. That time is TBD.